Best of r/malicious compliance episode 54. Subscribe for edit videos daily. This is a very mild malicious compliance. I worked as a Togo specialist for a restaurant that was actually fairly busy in the Togo area. This isn't just me since the entire team was great, but we were consistently rated number 1 in the company out of 600 plus restaurants while I worked there. Some of my fellow co-workers have left and I hear their scores dropped a lot. I worked nights since the lunch Togo spec had a son in school and was a single mom. Sometimes her son would have days off school or something would come up and I would come in early to fill in. We had some servers cross-trained to do so but I never complained. If no one takes it I get overtime. While I was working the rare blue moon of a lunch, a usual customer placed an order with a standard extra cheese and the instructions on her salad. In Togo we have a cheese packet that we give out instead of grating it. I of course put the cheese in her utensil bag thinking that is it. It wasn't. When the usual comes in, nothing out of the normal happens. Our Togo manager is very friendly and flexible but strict on following policy so mistakes get caught and fixed. One of my favorite managers I have worked under in any business. Our policy requires us showing each item with each having a clear lid. The salads are the only ones with the entire container being clear. Most people don't pay attention and she was no different. About 30 minutes later we get a call. The lady was upset that we did not follow her Togo instructions. Without missing a beat I just ask for the name of the Togo order and place her on hold for the manager. The manager heads over to me and I'm looking in my backlog of tickets for the name. When I find it I hand it to her. I let the manager know the extra cheese was in the utensil bag so maybe she didn't notice it. The lady on the phone said that she got no cheese on her salad and was upset. The manager said that cheese in Togo orders is placed in the utensil bag. The lady huffs on the phone about how that cheese tastes terrible. Which to be fair, it doesn't taste different but the texture is more powder than the grated cheese. The manager apologizes and says that next time she comes in we will pay for her salad and give her a free slice of cheesecake on us. The next day my co-worker tells me her usual came and complained about how dumb I was for not knowing what she gets. How she comes every day and how my co-worker is the only one with brains at my work. My awesome co-worker and me were close and I often went out drinking with her and her boyfriend. She said she defended me but whatever I did really agitated her. She informed me that the lady only likes grated cheese and she usually does a layer on top. Which I put in my notes for later. A couple weeks later co-worker was going on vacation and I was going to be working lunches for the week. This is due to most people trained have college and can work nights and not lunches. Of course I get an online order from the lady again. Which after jokes about her rant about me became the norm in the Togo area. It wasn't hard to forget her name. I decided I would make this lady understand that I'm capable and was ready to wow her with extra service. I had her entire order ready. I ensured everything was clean and looked very nice. Even set up her salad to look like pictures in advertisements. The only thing I didn't know was how much cheese did she actually want. I didn't want to overdo the cheese and ruin her salad. I put a cheese grater to the side of her salad and waited. When she arrived there was a line and I was very busy. When she reached the front there was 2 people behind her. I start going over her order saving the salad for last. She clearly remembered me and was not looking happy upon me just greeting her. All her food is good. Her drink has enough ice and pink lemonade for her. All looks good so far. Now for the salad. For this part our abbreviations is UC, usual customer. This was well over 2 years ago so I'm keeping it a bit shorter and it isn't everything since I don't fully remember. Me, I am holding her salad and a cheese grater. Alright UC, here is your house salad. UC, there is no cheese on it. Me, I have a cheese grater. I was G. Cut off. UC you did this last time. I interrupted her. Regret doing that. Me, I have never put cheese on your salad. So, she cut me off. I was going to say so I was going to ask you to tell me when to stop so I know for the future how much is perfect. UC I want your manager. Me, I push my headset that connects to host, buses, and manager's Togo manager. I need you to the front please. Once a manager is called I shut up and wait unless I am asked a question so we just stood there in silence while we wait. Usually takes about 5-20 seconds for a manager. Manager walks up and immediately. UC, he didn't put cheese on my salad again. You should train your employees better. My manager looks at me confused since I have great surveys and scores. Manager, I'm sorry about that. How much cheese would you like? I am holding the cheese grater out to my manager already, so she picks up on the hint. You see, I never have this problem with awesome coworker. Manager begins grating. I'm glad awesome coworker is doing great, so let me know when to stop. While grating cheese, you see, after a sec says stop and she pays and leaves. I help the rest of the guests. Then my manager asks me what that is about. I explained that I remembered she didn't want the packets, but I didn't know how much extra cheese was since I have never served her before and extra is different for everyone. I kept note on how much cheese was on her salad. That my manager did because I do take pride in my work, no matter the job. 2 days later, I am still working a lunch shift for my awesome coworker. The lady doesn't place an online order but calls this time. I pick up of course and she asks when awesome coworker works. I explain that I can't talk about my coworker's private life as that would be an invasion of privacy and break company policy. The lady reluctantly accepts it and rudely asks if I can get a simple salad correct this time. I said no problem. Now here is where malicious compliance comes in. All of our calls are recorded, so I wasn't worried. She ordered everything normal. However, when it came to her salad, she went full Karen voice and stated very clearly, I want a simple SALLLAAD with extra cheese. I know some people think that means no cheese. So I want extra cheese. Whatever amount guarantees I get some cheese. Do I owe you $1 Andy? I responded with a simple I understand and told her the total. When the lady was rudely explaining her salad, I decided to type out her exact special instructions, which show up on the receipt as well. So on her receipt was essentially house salad extra cheese, not no cheese, extra cheese. This is important later. I not only put some cheese on her salad, I load up the salad with cheese. Normally there is a decent airspace between the lid and the salad. I put 2 full blocks of grated cheese on this bad boy. It was impressive to me. She wanted extra cheese. Then I will comply. The usual customer comes in and I positioned her order so the salad is the first thing she sees. I also put the ticket that read extra cheese, not no cheese, extra cheese, on top of it with the instructions. Have a pen box and check mark next to it. Her mouth did a silent gasp, but she paid and left. No call, no complaints. Each day I filled in for my awesome coworker, I would get unusual calls of people hanging up after my greeting, which I assumed was her. A month later, my awesome coworker tells me that the usual customer would always come in and openly complain about how I was allowed to work here. She openly hated me. My manager and coworkers didn't care because I work nights and knew what I did was only what she asked. I found out that the usual customer was a manager of a store nearby and got fired for how she treated her employees. She would always try to get my awesome coworker to come work for her, which led to my coworker knowing a lot of the issues going on at her work, which only made her want to never work for the lady. We would secretly joke to our manager how if I ever quit I should find where my biggest fan is and go work for her. It sounds so nice. Thank you. Next, a bit of backstory. My in-laws are 67 and 70, speak Spanish as a main language and English very little. I handle most of their business situations if they need something faxed or any documents sent to most places, or call companies on their behalf. They frequently ask me for help and I love them and of course help them out whenever. I've been helping them for about 5 years at this point. Many years ago they helped my sister-in-law with some student loans to get her started in school. I'm unsure if they had to pay any amount back as this was before I joined the family. They are on Social Security and don't work, and they, my sister-in-law, found a program that allows them to submit documents to a branch of the Department of Education that shows they have no employable income, which Social Security doesn't count as income. So for 3 years, as long as the documents and forms are submitted on time that shows they have no income, they do not have to pay their portion of these loans, and after the 3 years, it's forgiven. They approached me in October with all the documents to send with the letter that shows where they go, listed as an email, PO box and fax number, and a phone number for help. Cool, I've done this before. I can fax them after work. I also digitize them and send them to the email because I like having my bases covered. Everything is good, or so I thought. They get a letter at the beginning of January that because they didn't receive the documents their account is no longer eligible for this program. Excuse me? Enter me being pissed. I have my spouse verify the fax and email that it's correctly typed and it all got sent to the right places, so I know I didn't mess it up somehow, and I now call the company only to reach a woman who must have been having a bad day. W equals woman, M equals me. W. How can I help you? M. Yeah, I sent in some documents back in October for my in-laws and we just got a letter that says the account wasn't renewed properly. Can you tell me what's going on? Woman asks for names and birth dates. I give them to her. Woman. We didn't receive anything from you. Me. That's not possible. I have confirmation for both the fax and email. I never got any kind of failed reply for email and the fax would have given me some kind of busy notice. It's important to note also that there is an automatic reply when you send their email anything, which I also have. Woman. Well, I don't know what to tell you. All I can do is give you our information and you can resubmit it. Me. That's it? You aren't going to double check the email or faxes to see if it just got misplaced? This isn't the first year I've done this and I've never had a problem. Woman. Like I already said, there isn't anything here. All I can do is give you our information. Me. Okay, fine, give me your fax and email. Which of course is what is printed on the letter they received. I end the call not at all happy. At this point I'm suspicious that they misplaced the documents because it's the final year of their program and after this they don't have to pay back the loan. How convenient that even with confirmation the documents are lost. Cue malicious compliance. I have a PO box, an email, a fax and a day off. I make a few copies and head to the post office. I certify the mail so I have a tracking number and a signature required pickup. Next I head to a fax machine. I proceed to send the same fax every 10 minutes for an hour, letting other people use it if they need it, of course. I'm not a monster. Then I digitize it again and send an email every 10 minutes. I waited until I got a notification that the mail was delivered, then I call again. I am fully prepared to argue, based on my phone call from last time. Unnecessary. The guy this time was super nice. I give him the info he needed and explain what happened and asked him if he got it. He said, oh yeah, I have about 10 emails. I'm looking at the physical mail right here and I have about 12 faxes. We got it. Excellent. I tell him I was not at all happy with the person I spoke to before who was not at all helpful, but that he has made me much happier. I also mention the stress my in-laws went through when they got a letter stating the account wasn't in the program anymore and they would have to pay back a huge loan that they couldn't afford. He said he was surprised the documents were lost as that doesn't usually happen, especially since I had confirmation they went through. In the end all is good, but don't screw with old people when they have a daughter-in-law more than willing to waste an entire day to defend them. It made me sad and angry because who knows how many elderly people are in similar situations who are taken advantage of because of some awful person. TLDR. Woman from company claimed they didn't receive documents even with confirmation, so I sent them over 20 times to make sure they did. Thank you. Next. The only information you need to enjoy this little moment of malicious compliance is to know what a sequin pillow is. This pillow has little reflective pieces sewn onto it in such a way that one side is gold and the other side of the piece is silver. If you rub your hand across the surface of these pieces you can change the color shown from gold to silver. It was my son's first birthday and while getting everything ready my friend picked up the pillow and asked what he should draw on it. My wife, who was in the kitchen, yelled out the fateful words, "No dicks." The party was wonderful. Everyone had a great time. However, looking at the pictures later, what do we find in the background? No dicks written out on a sequin pillow. Edit. English is hard. Thank you. Next. Not my story. Josh Friedman posted it here. http://huxblog. blogspot.com/2009/06/boy-in-bubble. HTML. M equals 1 and it made me think of this subreddit. Quoting the relevant part below, but I recommend reading the whole thing. Begin snip. God, hey. How are you tonight? Me. Last night. Frank. Last night on the lot. God, looks that way. That your whole office in there? Me. Pretty much. As I start to pull away. God, you got your property sheet? Me. Excuse me? God, your property sheet. Like an inventory sheet. with all of this inventoried and signed off on by the production. ME, what? God, I'm gonna have to ask you to turn around and return to the lot, go to your production offices, and get an executive to inventory all of this, certify it as yours, and then sign the sheet. Then you can leave. ME, Frank, let me explain something. There is nobody else. I'm it. God, well, someone is going to have to list, certify, and sign. ME, someone? Like who someone? God, someone. A producer. Someone. And then it hit me. ME, Frank, I'm that someone. It's my show. I am the someone that I'm looking for. God, wait. Who are you? ME, I'm Josh Friedman, Frank. And until I drive past this guard shack, I am the executive producer of this TV show. I am the someone. Can't I give myself permission to leave? At which point Frank went to the guard shack. A line of cars had formed behind me, wondering what kind of fuck up was holding up the line at 9 o'clock at night. Frank returned with a form, in triplicate. God, list the items. Certify they're yours. Sign off. ME, I am, in essence, authorizing myself to leave and thus no longer be the executive producer. God, as far as we're concerned, yes. ME, works for me. And so I did. And so I had. And so I wasn't. Thank you. Next. This history happened years ago. I was studying at a military school. It was mandatory for the students with higher grades to participate in the Independence Day parade. For them it was some kind of reward / responsibility the students had. I did not like anything to do with the military and was studying there only because of my father, retired sergeant. I did not know how to march and do all the other stuff they wanted in the parade, and asked to be allowed to not participate. They said I could train, but the training would occur during class time. I would not lose class to learn that stuff and just skipped it all. The day before the parade I asked again if I would be allowed to not participate, but they said it was important for the school in many ways. The next day, during the parade, I participated as they required, but made no effort to do anything correct. It was mandatory to participate, but not to be in correct formation, synchronize, or anything. It was terrible and the top guys got really angry at the people responsible for making me participate. Next year the rule that made it mandatory was removed. Thank you. Next. Yes, I know r/malicious compliance exists, but this is very much a rant from retail. I'll probably cross-post. Members of the department at the time. Me 28F gamer. Built my own gaming rig. Jake 24 meters audiophile. Vince 70 meters literally only there to keep from being bored in retirement, but knows a lot about TVs. And 65F treats work like a social club, but is great with customers. Roger 35 meters also a gamer like me, runs a tech podcast. Trent 17 meters loves movies. Around this time last year, my department, electronics, was missing a supervisor. Ours was going back to school and management wouldn't work with her on the schedule, and our manager was 2 weeks from retirement, so we desperately needed some leadership. Rather than find a new supervisor, they assigned the 26-year veteran sup from shoes to us. She put me on edge from day one. She came in making this big speech about how things are going to change around here. You all have had it too easy for too long. What I says goes, and I don't play. I don't play, either. I get my work done quickly and efficiently. I do it right the first time so I don't have to do it again. I help my co-workers get their work done. The main reason our department had a reputation as slackers is that we always had a lot of time to stand around and joke. We have that time because we handle our stuff quickly, efficiently, and correctly. I guess that's not good enough, because this supervisor comes in with the idea that she had to micromanage the crap out of everything to make sure that we're 100% busy 100% of the time. After about a week of micromanaging everything to the point where we have to do the same task 10 times before it's actually done right, our new sup decides that she's going to assign an aisle to each employee. We are to maintain, stock, and patrol our aisle, not hanging around by the registers. We're only allowed to be on a register when actively ringing up a customer. Okay, this actually doesn't sound that bad to me since I very much prefer stocking and maintenance to customer service. I ask her if I can have laptops and video games. She says number. One of my co-workers takes the words right out of my mouth saying, "Why can't SM0L have those? She knows more about those products than anyone else in the department." Sup, I will be taking laptops. SM0L gets Wi-Fi and networking. Jake can have printers and cell phone accessories. Vince has headphones and speakers. Anne can take video games. Roger can have movies. And Trent is on the TV wall. Me, that makes absolutely no sense. Me and Roger are experts on both computers and video games. Jake knows headphone and speakers. Trent loves the movie section and knows the release dates for like everything. Sup, do not argue. You know computers, yes? Then take Wi-Fi. Me, I hardwire everything and don't know how Wi-Fi works. Roger, I know Wi-Fi. I can take that one. Sup, I do not care. SM0L takes Wi-Fi. Jake, what if a huge shipment of cell phone accessories comes in and I'm not here to stock it? Sup, then it will be waiting for you to get back. You take care of your section, and your section only. We all agreed that we would completely ignore this abject stupidity and keep doing what we do. Supervisor is having none of it, though. After Jake got written up for stocking headphones, Roger and Trent quit out of frustration, and Anne sees an unprecedented number of returns on game systems because she keeps trying to say that PS4/Xbox are the same thing to old folks who don't know any better. Most of the department gives up on life. Not me. I spend too much time on Reddit to not know how to deal with this. I saw how destroyed everyone was, so I did something about it. I did exactly what my supervisor had asked me to do. I camped out in Wi-Fi and networking. I clocked into work, opened my register, and reported to my aisle. I did not leave my aisle except when a customer requested me to ring them up. Then I'd go right back. If a customer had questions on video games, I referred them to Anne. If a customer had questions on computers, I referred them to my sup. On top of that, I refused to help out when stock came in. Wi-Fi and networking was my world. Anything outside of that world was not my problem. It didn't take long for complaints to start flooding in, and I called to my manager's office. "MGR, why are we getting so many people writing in that our staff knows nothing about computers? The whole reason I hired you is that you build them." Me, I'm not allowed to help over there anymore. MGR, what? Me, supervisor, assigned everyone an aisle and said we are to maintain that aisle only, and that we should only offer help on other aisles when directly asked by a customer and the employee assigned to that aisle isn't there. Here's the list of the assignments. The next day, our supervisor's system was officially abolished. She was pretty angry with me for a while, and she definitely did some things to try to make my life a bit harder, but over time she noticed that, when left to my own devices, the aisle stayed stocked better, customers were happier, and sales were up. Then she started asking questions. Why do I do this task that way? I answered honestly. Once she figured out that I knew what I was doing and every action I took was either covering a weakness in one of my coworkers or allowing a coworker to cover my own weaknesses, we basically went back to how it was before. In the end, even though we got off to a rocky start, I kind of loved that woman, and when she retired in October, I was pretty heartbroken to see her go, but we keep in touch. It started as malicious compliance and ended in a beautiful friendship. Editing for various mobile-induced typos and changing initials to fake names. Thank you. Next. This is a story that I was reminded of recently of me being a smartass in grade school. 6 years old or so. We were being taught about basic shapes, triangles and rectangles and so forth, when the teacher said two things that came together into a wonderful plan. She said that a curve counts as one side, so a circle has one side for example, and that a triangle has 3 sides and 3 points, a square has 4 sides and 4 points, etc. But not anything about them having straight lines. And finally we had a little project where we had to draw the basic shapes on a big sheet of paper. I started off with a triangle, and to be fair it had 3 sides and 3 points, but it was basically Pac-Man. After that I got creative. Rectangles that included loops and all sorts of fun dipsy doodles. Hexagons that looked like abstract art, and everything I could think of to make them as inconvenient as possible. But I was covered because she had given us a piece of paper with the rules behind the shapes, neglecting the whole straight lines thing. and I had made damn sure that every single one of the shapes followed the rules. The teacher wasn't too happy and didn't give me a passing mark. I took it home to my parents and they started asking questions about why it didn't have a passing mark. Eventually there was a parent-teacher meeting where it was pointed out that everything I had put on that paper followed the instructions given. It's just that the instructions given wasn't what the teacher wanted. After some argument, the teacher did give me a passing mark and I got a well-earned reputation for being a little smartass. This story was recently retold to me by my mom. I don't actually remember any of it and don't know if it was embellished or by how much, but it's fun. So whatever.